Hey guys, welcome to another video. This is GLFOS, or as I like to call it, GLFOS. This thing is designed for gaming, content creation, and, well, studio content creation around DaVinci's Resolve Studio. It also comes with Krita and a bunch of other stuff. There's also a mini version, which comes with nothing, and you have to do everything yourself. This thing is built off of NixOS. Now, what is NixOS? Well, let's have some fun with that. NixOS is a unique Linux distribution built around the NixOS package manager, which uses a purely functional approach to system configuration. Instead of making the changes directly to your system like it should, it has to overcomplicate things. And, well, you have to describe what you want in a single configuration file, which can be useful if you want to reproduce the exact same system on another machine. Okay? But if you want to learn this, the wiki is really poorly written, unfortunately. Not for this distribution here, for NixOS in its entirety. It's written by a developer. Okay? It's written in a way that just expects you to know everything, which is my main issue with it, because not everyone's going to know everything, are they? And that's where the whole problem begins. So that steep learning curve literally becomes a mountain. Now, you can get around this by watching certain specific videos or tips and tutorials from other places. I don't have any, and I'm not sure if I'm going to make any, because I'm not sure if I could take this and teach this in a way where everybody can learn. Because again, it's just really annoying. Okay? Now, that configuration file that I mentioned is right here. Yeah, this is one of the most anti-users distros I've ever encountered, like NixOS in its entirety. But GLFOS does make things dead simple. They give you most of what you want out of the box, and installing the rest is relatively easy, I guess. Okay? It can be sometimes very finicky. Now, what makes GLFOS different is the performance, the stability. Basically, you have the vanilla Nix plus the CachyOS improvements, a whole bunch of Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and 8-bit Ditto control management, user experience improvements, so like all right there, bunch of minor fixes. You even have extended steering wheel compatibility. The Mango HUD preset tool sucks. Sorry, but it does. And it does come with Gnome or Plasma, which makes it definitely interesting for most people, because that's usually the ones that they choose the most. But there's no Hyperland or anything like that. You can do that. You can add Hyperland without a problem, but it's just not there. Now, again, there's Steam, there's Lutris, there's Heroic. They're not flat packs. This is a flat pack. This is a flat pack. Like, this is French by default, even if you install in English. So, not very useful unless you speak or read French. It does have printers support built in by the looks of it. Nice. And it will automatically install your NVIDIA driver, which is pretty nice. Okay. And it comes with the a very good modern version of Mesa, so it makes gaming pretty easy. But what if you needed more? Well, again, we're stuck with this, which is unfortunate. What if you needed to install a plugin for DaVinci's Resolve? You're screwed, because the place you need to do it, the Nix store, is read-only, because again, it's immutable. So all these packages in here, read-only. So there's no modifying or editing or doing anything like that. You're screwed.
Okay, so another thing I want to show you is this comes up when I try to install Infinity. I'm trying to make this version of NixOS work. And right now it is way too restrictive to be able to even do this, the most simplistic of scripts you could ever imagine. This is disappointing, to say the least. Now, can I bypass this? Sure, it wouldn't be really that hard. All I'd have to do is feed it through Lutris and get that done. But that's just the issue. I don't want to. The reason this script exists is to make life easy, to make a desktop shortcut, to have everything going. You don't have to set up Lutris. The script does everything for you. So there's another thing you can't do. Now, I forgot some stuff. One, what kernel is this running? Well, there's the answer. It's 6.14.11, which again is not the newest, but it's the newest stable, I guess. And I kind of wish it would switch to 6.15 because that's a little more optimized for AMD CPUs, and as well as fixing the 9070's many weird issues, which it does have. Okay, so what else? Well, let me show you the version of the NVIDIA driver that it runs currently, right here. So it's the 575.57.08, okay, which as of today is outdated, as both of the production branch and current branch have been updated with new drivers. So hopefully they'll get that updated, but I don't have very much hope on that, as well as updating the kernel to 6.15.2. That would be absolutely great, so I don't have to try to figure out how to do that myself. All right, I'm gonna exit out of that. Gonna hit close. Bye-bye on that one. Now, there are other things to consider when using this. Yes, it's fantastic at gaming. Editing, not so much. The performance of the editing was a lot lower than I'm used to. Where is it? I only managed to get a whopping 264 FPS, and that's due to DaVinci's Resolve 19, which I mentioned earlier in the video. That, or I'm not sure where I'm going to put this clip, but pretty much DaVinci's Resolve Studio optimized rendering even farther and allowed me to reach 400 some FPS versus 200. So again, we're missing out on a ton of performance. Not to mention that, again, the 6.15 kernel also improved performance across the board. It's seeming like for something that's supposed to be for gaming, it's lacking a lot of what makes CachyOS amazing. It's the fact that you have the newest kernel to work with. And sure, you can probably figure out a way to install an older kernel, but I'm going to be honest, this just isn't it. But gaming's not an issue. Recording is not an issue. We're doing this right now. We are currently using OBS with NVENC. So if I actually brought that over here, we went to output, and here you can see that we're using NVENC. And the only reason this is working is because this is a flat pack. And there's the settings, 2 passes, full resolution. That's why everything looks so crisp and clean. And it functions, it works. Heroic will end up working, and Lutris will end up working, and you're not really going to be bothered by any of these issues or weird problems. And if you're just gaming and doing simple content creation, you're going to be fine. Me, I need a lot more than that. That's why this distro is not made for me, and I don't think it would be made for most content creators. It's an interesting concept, but at the most, it's just a concept. This section is what it can improve. Well, again, as I mentioned, if it updated the kernel, okay, to the newest, or at least gave us an option to use the newest, it would be great. If it kept up to date with the NVIDIA drivers, and we could instantly just grab the newest ones without really doing much of an issue, like a driver manager that also dealt with your configuration, that would also be great. And if it had the chaotic AUR repos automatically built in, so you could grab the CachyOS kernel that's compiled for this, you know, the 6.15.2 and all that other stuff, the newest ones, the 6.16 RC2, that would make it even better. So there's lots of things that this distro can do, but I'm sure there's going to be people that don't understand that making things like this accessible to users and not having the entire product ready is kind of going against the point of the distro to begin with. Hell, using NixOS kind of goes against the point of the distro, but that's a whole other video, so take that what you will. I was able to get Affinity working, but not the way that I want it to, not by a long shot. And that is disappointing for me, but it is what it is. It's just a NixOS issue. I get to make a new GIF. That sounds like a NixOS issue. And then we put a snowflake coming down. That will work perfectly. Anyway, I don't want to discourage you from using this, but I just want to go over the struggles that I've had in my experiences. Enjoy the rest of the rant.
There's another instance where if you want something like DaVinci's Resolve, you're going to have to rely on whoever maintains that package currently within wherever, okay? You can enter or add a certain thing that installs the latest, but again, you're kind of screwed if they're not maintaining it properly. So let me show you something here real quick, or at least we should try. Sorry about that. I just flashbanged myself and you, and I apologize greatly. Cobalt. So if we go down, you'll notice that I have the DaVinci's Resolve Studio package here, okay? When I first installed that, it grabbed the latest version, version 20. But when I installed DaVinci's Resolve another way, it installed version 19. That's a really big issue for me. And the main reason it's a big issue is because I want the newest. The newest is the fastest, it's more optimized, it works better, plugins are built for it, and sure, you can get the plugins to work on older versions if you can get them installed in Nix in the first place, as I was just mentioning that. You're out of luck. You're pretty much just out of luck, okay? Unless you unlock the system to be able to install the plugin to begin with. Why? Why do you have to make such a complicated setup for a system? And this may not be complicated to everyone, but again, you're not everyone. The majority of people will come from normal Linux over to NixOS and basically leave. Okay, the majority of people will leave because honestly, it's ridiculous the way that you have to handle all this stuff. Now, this is about NixOS in general. This is not just about the distro that I'm using. The distro is interesting. It comes with everything you need. Whatever. My main issue is with NixOS itself. Like, having to handle everything through a configuration file, and after a while it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just like, just give us an option to let the system handle it ourselves, okay? It's not gonna hurt. Like, there should be, during the installation, do you want to be the type of user that handles everything yourself in a configuration file, or would you prefer the system to handle everything itself? NixOS is as ass backwards as it gets, and I don't like it at all. I would use Mint over this. But again, I'm using it because, again, it's something that someone might be interested in. And again, don't take my words as something to scare you away from it. It didn't scare me away. We're here. It's doing its thing. And I need to put that over there because this monitor has always been weird. Now, look. Here we go. Resolve is working. We're not having a GPU memory error anymore because I did a special script to launch it. I need a script to launch it, okay? Because it doesn't handle 2 GPUs automatically by itself. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it is. And no OS technically handles 2 GPUs by itself, but then you got programs like Lutris that can do that. But here's the problem. Even if we hook it up to run what we need, it's still going to cause an issue. Now for this, I don't know. Are we actually able to launch this like this? Would that happen? Probably not, because we already have one available. Yeah, and then it's going to ask for more stuff. See, this is where it's located. No such file or directory. And then it's an endless clusterfuck of things happening. So, you know, you have to do things the extra hard way. Now, about gaming. You're going to see some gaming stuff here. Dealing with Mango HUD on this is annoying. For some reason, it does not obey the configuration which you put in your home directory in .config, and you were supposed to be in my background, thank you. Mango HUD, right here, look.
This is what I have. Okay? Right here. And it does not obey it whatsoever, which is again really, really annoying. Because you want it. You want that. You want to be able to have your stuff set up the way you want, but it doesn't let me do that. So it's hard to benchmark games on this when it's acting like that. Okay? She's got the strangest face and look in the world. She's amazing. Great singer, by the way. So yeah, we're stuck in an environment where we have to go old school with Linux to figure something out that should just be open up the file manager, go into downloads, unzip this, open up this, and install this. But this is missing PK CEC. No. Is it EXEC? Yes, it's missing basically the program that you need to run as root or to enter your password to be able to install an application. Even if you bypass that and you end up putting everything over here into the resolve folder, which I managed to finally figure out, and in the end you go /resolve, you're met with this message. Now, dealing with this, okay, I've been through this circle jerk before. If you disable this issue, what will occur is you will need to load up every single library that currently exists in this folder because for some reason it will not read it at all, and that will take days. Well, not really days. It would take a lot of hours to pull off. And that causes problems in itself because then you get even more annoyed. Okay? It's just so much trouble and for nothing. I don't want to have to deal with this. This is why the majority of people are switching either to Fedora or to Arch, is to overall avoid these issues. The majority of people want a system that just works out of the box, and that's what Cachy, that's what Arch, that's what Fedora Endeavor is. Okay? Something that works out of the box, that's very difficult to break, that's not immutable, that you can make decisions and choices on without having to go through hell to get it done. This is why I don't like NixOS as a whole, because you would have to be into torture to enjoy this OS. Yeah. And it's probably going to get a lot of people to hate me, but dude, I'm not into self-torture. My life is bad enough as it is. Okay, right now it's just a stressful ass situation. And me purposely torturing myself to get things to work does not help take my mind off of stuff. Instead, it ends up taking my time away from other things I could be doing. You know, like being calm and gaming and things like that. Instead, I decide to get DaVinci's friggin' Resolve to work in a manner that the entire OS is trying to put an army in front of you to stop you from pulling off. Just use DistroBox. No, I do not want to use DistroBox to get a native application that works on any Linux distribution, any other Linux distribution to work. You should not have to do that. It should be right-click, open the installer, install the program, remove the system libraries from it like you normally do, the libs, and then run the application, and you're good to go. It should never be that complicated. It works like that on Debian. It works like that on Ubuntu. It works like that on Mint, Arch, Endeavor, Cachy, Fedora, every form of Fedora, by the way. So why does it happen here like this? Why? It's just not good enough. Okay? When you really think about it, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Okay? I really wouldn't. Not one bit. And my worst enemy, I would literally consider to be a Nazi at this point. So let's just go with that. But hey, the distribution's nice. I mean, GLFOS, that's what I call it.
hope you're all going to get a freaking kick out of that. GLF OS. So how does it game? Well, by the way, if you want to know who this is, look right here. It shows you. Well, Steam comes pre-installed. I mentioned that in the beginning of the video, Luchas Heroics, so you could do whatever you need to with those games. Thankfully, those applications are native and just work. Isn't that great? But at the moment, here's the thing. Every time we reboot, it ignores the auto mounting of my game drive. Seriously? Does it also reset it too? Yep, look at that. What the fuck is wrong with this thing? Look, I've been on a lot of immutable distributions, and this was the only one that has ever given me a hard time. Serpent OS was fantastic until they went and changed their name to a cyberpunk-esque STD. And then after that, it was like, well, fuck you, I'm gone. Because really, do you want to be like, hey, I run this distribution? Dude, what does that sound like an STD? It's ridiculous. Remember my selection. Remember my preference. I want to have my game drive auto-mounted with the distribution. Okay, so we're going to be visiting Venice Beach because that is the most optimized, the most unoptimized part of the game, or at least it should be. We're in the tower currently. Mind you, we are getting the same exact performance as we would with CachyOS, so there's not really any difference in performance. So whatever you get there, you'll end up getting here. And that's always the fun part when they include the CachyOS optimizations. Figured I'd give it an extra scream. I miss. Horribly. Ooh, I'm not having a good day today with this gun. Okay. Watch this. But now, we're stuck. And smush. Ow. Keep on running. We're running the gauntlet. There we go. Hello. Four 30962. What is that for, I wonder? Whatever it's for, it's definitely weird, but alright. Wait for the gate to be raised, yada yada yada. So GPU 0 is the one we're using, by the way. The one that's at 100%, the other one we're recording with. So we're using the 9070 XT. Welcome.
And they're all dead. I played bowling. So the gist of it is the performance of this game is amazing. So that's not an issue. Ooh, more ammo. Get out of here. Tactical shotgun. Haha. Thank you. Amy's always out of breath, isn't she? Ooh. Ah. There, they'll do my damage for me. And we're gonna finish this off by heading in here. Shaw, dudes. Alright. And then, I don't know. You guys make up your own mind whether you want to run this or not. It's up to you. Me, personally, I'll screw around with it. I'll learn it a bit more if there's anything that I can do to help make it a lot easier to use, to something to figure out, I'll do that. But if you don't ever see a video about NixOS again, well, you know the reason. It's anti-user, it is not friendly whatsoever, and it literally does whatever it can to purposely piss you off. And Lysec, I don't know how you do it, but you must love being tortured every day. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sure there's going to be some nasty comments to go by, but don't worry, those will be picked up by the spam bot as always, and I'll see you guys next time.